With two major primaries going on right now in Wyoming and Alaska. This is a live look at Jackson, Wyoming. Congresswoman Liz Cheney facing a tough primary in that state. Her criticism of former President Trump a major divider for GOP voters there. And NewsNation correspondent Kelly Meyer joins us live. Kelly, the former president really dominating the conversation around today's primaries.
That's right, Nicole, and his name isn't even on the ballot, but former President Trump is on everyone's mind here. From the FBI raid at his Mar-a-Lago home to all these primaries and his power in these primaries, Trump is overshadowing the news cycle and having an impact on elections across the country.
Today, one of former President Trump's toughest critics is facing the voters. Liz Cheney, the former number 3 Republican in the House, is now in a fight for her political life after making Trump her target.
Many others are urging that we not confront Donald Trump, that we look away. And that is certainly the easier path.
Cheney, the lead Republican on the January 6th committee, is standing by the legitimacy of the 2020 election and trying to stop Trump from ever stepping foot in the Oval Office again. In her final pitch to voters, Cheney is speaking out again against claims the election was stolen.
It is a cancer that threatens our great republic.
But Cheney's position may be backfiring as Team Cheney braces for a loss against Trump-backed challenger Harriet Hageman.
Do you miss him yet?
Who believes the 2020 election was, quote, rigged.
The entire Republican Party is united behind Harriet. She's endorsed by practically everyone. And most importantly, perhaps, she's endorsed by me.
Other primary candidates taking a page out of Cheney's playbook.
I don't see how Donald Trump could be reelected to the presidency again. I just don't see that.
Lisa Murkowski, another critic of the former president, running for the Senate again in Alaska. She called for Trump to resign after the January 6th attack. Trump firing back by endorsing her GOP primary challenger, former Alaska Commissioner of Administration, Kelly Tshibaka.
This race really is about the future of Alaska and the future of America.
Both Murkowski and Cheney voted to impeach Trump. Of the 10 House Republicans who also went that route, 4 are retiring, including Cheney's fellow January 6th committee member, Adam Kinzinger. 3 were defeated in their primary races, like Tom Rice in South Carolina and Peter Meyer in Michigan. And 3 so far are still surviving, including Cheney, for now.
Also on the ballot in Alaska for the first time in 14 years, former Republican vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin. She's looking to come here to Capitol Hill, seeking Alaska's only congressional seat. Nicole?
All right, so Kelly, there's also speculation, though, that Cheney could run in 2024 and that Trump could do that as well.
That's right. There is talk about a potential presidential 2024 run for Cheney here and also for former President Trump. That would pit them against each other and matching her up against her #1 enemy. NewsNation Ashley Banfield asked former Trump Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney if Trump should make another go at it. Take a listen.
If Donald Trump is the Republican nominee in 2024, would you vote for him?
I've been on record as saying I don't think we need him. I don't. I'm hoping that somebody else runs against him in the primary because I think we can have the same policies without all the baggage.
Now, we don't know if the former president is going to run again, but in the wake of everything that happened at his Mar-a-Lago home, more and more Republicans are asking him to announce that he is running sooner rather than later. Nicole?
All right, Kelly Meyer, thank you for that. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.